to myself the point of writing poetry is that it's like an extra sense which seems to have developed in me by practice, by occasion, by luck. I find my mind and my feelings applied more closely by writing poetry to the situations which I write about, to the world in which I live, and also to those events, those strange events that go on in anybody's mind and which they're not entirely responsible for. One's emotions, one's angers, one's prejudices, and so forth. And it seems to me that I have not necessarily a more clearer apprehension of these things, but a more vivid one than I would if I just let myself go along in the way that I would if I wasn't writing poetry. If a poet manages to put clearly what he's doing with all the resources of rhyme and rhythm and meter and tone and vocabulary and sense and nonsense and so forth, if he puts these things clearly enough, then other people will recognize them as something in themselves or something that they too have seen. The reaction to poetry, one of the reactions to poetry that one says is how true that is, or if it's something that hasn't happened to oneself so far, one says how memorable or exciting or vivid this is.
In case of atomic attack, they hurried us down here, the dead lying in bunches around, having lost my dear by ambulance earlier. The airborne heat would not yet reach through 20-foot thick walls and roof. Only there were the already killed left outside, cramming our ports while they stood and could move ungloving feet. So I left and walked up into the smoky spring, watching the buds breaking through the bark, and listened to the birds that, one by one, dropped down to join the soot. A dog, brown, with muzzle glistening like the rain that laid about on pavements, and a trumpet bark muddled about on my track for a while. Spring mist and clear cries that meant nothing but the facts of being birds, and a sharp breeze from some 9 miles away as I walked too with the fact of being alive. In due course, near the river weeds, my feet wore out, flapping against the nailing of the bones, and like a shoe I felt no pain, but clumsy with the bent back sole that sprang, I sat. The sky was pearled and whorled like a slowly tilting shell. My hand bones moved inside their gloves. But no, I don't want to bother you with details of my illness. But I just thought a note might be interesting by my side, telling just how it happened. There can't be many. I just went dying, and I didn't mind, since there's no help for it, whoever you may be. The Archaeologist. So I take one of those thin plates and fit it to a knuckled other carefully, for it trembles on the edge of powder. Restore the jaw and find the fangs their mates. The thorny tree of which this is the gourd, outlasting centuries of grit and water, re-engineered by me, stands over there, stocky, peeling, crouched, and dangling pawed. I roll the warm wax within my palm, and to the bone slowly mould a face of the jutting-jawed, hang-browed race. On the brute strength I try to build up a calm, for it is a woman by the broad hips. I give her a smooth skin and make the mouth mild. It is aeons since she saw her child, spinning thin winds of gossamer from his lips. The play, Two Old Gentlemen.
I don't want to play.
But we want you.
I don't want to play.
You must play too.
I'm not going to play for you. You play too rough. I'm not tough enough.
A red silk mantle with fur below?
I'd rather not.
Why is that so?
I need something to do, but I'm not a fool. I don't want to play. No, not today. No, not with you.
But there's this fur, these red silk gowns, the hat, the beard, and the buskins.
Will I have a wig? Will I have a wig?
Oh, yes, that too. Oh, yes, that too.
And a pink silk handkerchief with thin green squares to flourish in their faces and clean me ears.
That too. Oh, dear me, yes, you must have that too.
And pantaloons with cherry bubble tops, a big fat pipe and a frilly stock.
Yes, of course you can have that too. You can have these decorations put on you.
What do I do?
You have to die.
I have to die? No, really, surely that's not a fact. Do I die too soon or in a late act?
In the last act.
Is that a fact?
You have to die. For most of the play, you just stand around making puffing noises. Waddle on, get lost, or out of the way.
Until the last act.
Yes. And then in a loud voice, you have to die in a loud voice. Gigantic enough to deafen us, terrific enough to panic the audience, and bob them and sway them like the cherries dance.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
I want to hear your soul race in the forefront of that voice. I want it to start with a physical push and end with a seagulled hush on the shore of that land where your forefathers are. And I want the whole company to weep when they hear.
I can do that. I can do that. How do I die then? Now tell me that.
With a sword, a height, a mad dog's bite, poison, razor, and you choke on a fruit.
That will make a noise to bring the house down.
It'll bring the house down, and that'll kill you too, and you'll shout at that.
Then there'll be a fire and a rushing wind.
And that'll kill you too, and you'll shout at that.
Then the gas mains will explode.
And that'll shout you wide. And the winds will come again half solid with snow, and the firemen will be unable to get anywhere near you, for you'll burn in the winds and shout with the snow, with the guilt and the gore and the toppling gods, and the plush and the pipes and the pattering plaster, and the fire and the wind and the wind and the fire, all shouting, and the greasy smoke rising higher and higher, and the arch will crash and kill you again, and hard fire will come and kill you again, and the wind sneaping round half solid with the snow, and the firemen trying to grab at you. No one could suffer as hard as you do. No one could last as long as you will. No one could shout as you would. And the voice, and the voice, and the voice, and the voice. What do you say, eh? What do you say?
When can I start? Give me my part.
Here is your part.
Is that my part? Now watch my art, as I die, as I scream, as I die for my art.
for no good reason. I walk on the waste ground for no good reason, except that fallen stones and cracks bulging with weeds suit my mood, which is gloomy, irascible, selfish, among the split timbers of somebody's home and the bleached rags of wallpaper. My trouser legs pied with water drops, I knock a sparkling rain from hemlock poles, I crash a puddle up my shin, brush a nettle across my hand, and swear, then sweat from what I said. Indeed, the sun withdraws as if I stung. Indeed, she withdrew as if I stung. And I walk up and down among these canted beams, bricks and scraps, bitten walls and weed-stuffed gaps, looking as it would feel now if I walked back across the carpets of my home, my own home. The Stronghold. We had a fine place to come, into the keep of the old oak, the frill of leaves to challenge through, the tower room in the old trunk, the knotholes, loops and battlements, and the chinks wedged open with sunlight, the fine soft shavings of decay to putter in, run through our toes. We were the breathing of the wood, its tender core, the faces, watchers, guardians, bare and bony cold in winter, warm and odorous in summer, and in the autumn rustling in our leaves. That is all gone now. By haunting, I learn that oak tree strongholds are out of fashion, and I grow too big to squeeze inside. The shadow of my head cuts off the light, and I peer into unrelieved and cramping gloom. The sun breaks in hiding, darting shadows outside, and smooth children's faces form among the rough tree barks.
The secretary. It is the secretary speaking. At work, his arms wave like a windmill, slapping designs on crisp pads with a thick, soft pencil, a girded grin next morning at his desk, but no cross words once the pencil gets slapping, sliving out our luxury. No cross words. Silk dressing gowns and wine-dark coverlets, grey hair bushing on my shantung lap, remorse and sheep eyes spinning water, remorse, the cord smiles deeply in his girth. A glass of water then, quick comfortable speech, we step from silks, the cords hang loose and heavy, I catch his breath, his teeth stained tawny with tobacco, it is rank and vicious, like menstrual blood. Buffing his nose with a forefinger, sipping tonic water at breakfast, relaxed and special out of the bath, he twinkles and I twinkle back, pantless under a slim formal skirt, ready for work. He holds my stocking like a hoop in two fists as my foot flies in, and lays his palms flat along my thighs and kisses me. My skirt is creased and beard rash twinkles on my thighs, but I sit up and catch the notes he flings to me grinning, fly for files and mend my shoulder strap. They send him north occasionally, my beaked fingers pecking meanly at the keys, and he sends me letters. I'm drawn naked on wine-dark coverlets, on crisp pad paper, the letter scribbled down my whiteness with XX at customary halts. Could I cook a meal, perhaps, or change the coverlets to creamy candlewick? Anger booms among the giggling dressing gowns, and I sit beside the bed holding water until grey hair bushes on my lap and a hand collects itself to sweep my buttocks. He feels really close to me if I forgive him constantly. I watch for the rewinding of his spring, and arms begin to whirl like windmills. Wine, restaurants, dancing, creased skirts, beard rash, pleasure just this side of painful fun, and a look, a finger laid along his rummaging nose that makes me laugh down into my notebook. Keep us young. A money spinner, 20 years my senior, with a body just the edge of mine for the moment. The maid dies first, then the young woman, but the secretary keeps growing all the while into perfection and exemplary service, sharp-penciled, clean typer, indispensably informed, the memoranda ticking down the page, footage filed away, and yellowing miles accumulating in the dust-proof cabinets, sign-posted in her careful lettering. I shall have to tout myself elsewhere, trim personnel. What is sincerity anyway? Flat on one's back? It foams everywhere and floats out one's best. Best lover, secretary, and perfect staff.
At the edge of the wood. First, boys out of school went out of their way home to detonate the windows. At each smash, piping with delight and skipping for fright of a ghost of the old man popping over his hedge, shrieking and nodding from the gate. Then the game palled, since it was only breaking the silence. The rain sluiced through the starred gaps, crept up walls and into the brick. Frost bit and munched, weeds craned in and leant on the doors. Now it is a plot without trees let into the wood, piled high with tangle and tousle, buried parapets and roots picking at the last mortar, though the chimney still stands sheathed in leaves, and you can see for the time being where in a nook a bryony burst its pot with a shower of roots, and back through the press of shrubs and stems coils deep into the wood.